Hello, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're joining us today. Man, I got a special guest. Her name is Michelle Johns. And as soon as Michelle and I connected on the phone, I'm like, we got to do an interview. You are so special with an amazing story. First, let me just give you a little background about Michelle. She says she's a creative person. She buys furniture on Facebook Marketplace, which I just learned about. So this could be a very expensive interview. She purchases old furniture, rebuilds it, fixes it up, and then puts it in her house, right? And as a matter of fact, all the pictures on the creative side were painted by you and your wife. So
Yes.
that's awesome. I think we see a couple in the background there. I love that. So Michelle wrote a book called God, a Lesbian, and the Space in Between. Michelle, welcome with sweet, loving, open arms. I'm so glad that you're here. And I get to share a little of the conversation that I had with you with the rest of the world.
Awesome.
So we're going to start off right off the bat. What does homosexuality really mean? And let me just preface this by saying that Michelle was raised in a very strong Christian home, and she is a believer. So everything we go from here, we're looking at as from a Christian viewpoint.
Okay. And I am very, very excited to go ahead and tackle these issues here. Homosexuality is a word that was translated after the Protestant Reformation. Okay. And what happened was that the Bibles that were in different languages, they said something totally different than the Bible after the Protestant Reformation. And I know that a lot of people talk about Genesis 19:12 through 14, Sodom and Gomorrah, Ezekiel, Leviticus, Corinthians, all those chapters plainly say that it's a sin and an abomination to be homosexual. However, if you want to do some research on your own, you can definitely do that. I would recommend looking up Ed Oxford. What he did is he collected all of the books before the Protestant Reformation. In every book, every scripture that mentions homosexuality, it said that homosexuality means that it is a sin for a man to lay with little boys. So homosexuality before the Protestant Reformation is totally different. It has a completely different meaning than it did afterwards. Now, what happened also was that the priests in the Protestant Reformation, they said, hey, don't change any of these words. What are you doing? Leave them pure, leave them whole. And that was probably 69 years after the Protestant Reformation, 69 years that the Bible was translated again in a different culture, in a different time as well.
So you're saying the concept of homosexuality pre Protestant Reformation took a different meaning post Protestant Reformation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So one of the other points in your book, again, we're speaking to Michelle Johns, God, a Lesbian, and the Space in Between, is that God is not owned by any religion. What do you mean by that?
Yes, absolutely. I believe that religion is a cultural representation of God. It's a cultural representation of what that culture thinks God is. So I do believe that God is separate from all of it. If you think about it, you've got all religions, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhism is not a religion, it's a way of life. Christianity, all those have their specific criteria for what it means to be worthy of the love of God. Right?
That's true. That is very true. And, I look at homosexuality and I say, whether it's a sin or not, let's just put that on. Let's just push that aside. No one is perfect. And some sin is a little bit more visible than others. So those that are pointing fingers, we need to be just looking at ourselves first and just going, God, just help me be pure before I start looking and judging other people. I mean, Michelle, you are just one of the kindest, sweetest people, and your spirit just came through the phone. And how can you hate? How can you hate people?
Ignorance. That's all it is. It's just ignorance. And a lot of times people feel more comfortable saying this about homosexuality. Hey, everybody sins. No, absolutely not. You have your own specific culture that you've chosen to focus on God with. I might be different. God is the God of the Christian, the Hindu. God is the God of the Muslim as well. But we just all see him and interpret him differently within our own cultures.
What was it like growing up? And at what point did you realize that you were homosexual and having to confront this with your parents who were both ministers? Am I right?
Right, absolutely. So it's a little tricky for me because God revealed himself to me at the age of 2. I was in my bed at night, and on the wall there was the face of God. I was 2. I didn't know who this was. Nobody taught me who this was. So what happened was this. I developed an organic relationship with God before I was taught Christianity. So when I came out at the age of 19 to myself, I struggled with what I was taught and what I felt, what I experienced. So trying to explain to people that, being a lesbian is not wrong in the Christian church is kind of like trying to bring down a brick wall with your fingernails. It's very, 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 very hard, and it's very, very. It's a slow moving process. So, my aunts and uncles, I have a family full of preachers. Listen, I think that's probably where I get it from.
Yeah. Because you love Jesus.
I do.
Yes. Yeah,
I do. And the thing is, Susan, God was with me every step of the way coming out. All of my relationships, all of my mistakes, I made a whole lot of those.
We all have. Yes.
And you know what? I got to the point eventually where I accepted the fact that my faith was enough for me to be righteous in the sight of God.
The whole sex thing. I mean, the whole sex thing is taboo with Christianity. Mm-hmm. It's a tough place to go.
It is.
And to do something that's out of the norm, you got to be a warrior, I suppose.
You do. You have to have a confidence. And the more that I built a relationship with God unilaterally, what religion also does is it creates a space for you to seek out a validation from everybody else but God. Right?
Wow. Yes.
Right. You want to seek the validation of the pastor, the minister of music, your mama who's a deaconess, your daddy who's the adjutant of the bishop, right? Yeah. So these are the things that religion teaches you. As long as you do what I say do, then God will accept you. When God is like, hey, no, talk to me about it. You're my child. I made you.
Is that the overall message of your book?
That is the overall message. And I want families especially to know that this is a serious problem, especially in the Black community and within the Black church. I think that because God was presented to African Americans differently than he was Caucasians, I will write a book about that as well. Mm-hmm. I think that there's more of a slavery mentality in the Black church. So...
You have a lot of things to tackle. I mean, you just want to do the right thing and help people and give people hope. What would encouragement be to, say, a young Black girl that's Christian, struggling with her sexuality? Mm-hmm. Or what would you say to her for encouragement?
I would tell her to do your research, baby girl, and develop a relationship with God on your own. The thing that I do not really appreciate about what religion does is it makes you lazy as far as your communication and connecting with God on a normal and regular level. I think that actually COVID-19 is creating an environment where we're forced to do that now.
Wow. I mean, I feel like we've only been talking for about a minute or two. It's God, a Lesbian, and the Space in Between. I am so thankful for your time. Please check it out. Michelle Johns, thank you for being part of the show. And I know we need to talk again.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure.